Gods by Herb and Josh. Number 1. Bacchus. Bacchus's dominion was parties. He was often seen at crazy parties involving crazy people, such as in this picture. He's at the Democratic National Convention. What a crazy party full of crazy people. Bacchus's symbol was often just one thing. It was a thyrsus, a staff with a pine cone on top. Bacchus often was seen to be a young bearded man with robes and an ivy wreath. Bacchus's parents were Zeus and Semele. A long time ago in a country far, far away, there were two lovers, Zeus and Semele, and they had an idea to get kids. So they got a kid, and all the gods were good with this, except for Zeus's wife Hera. However, she had a plan to get revenge. She magically turned into an old mean woman who looked pretty mean. She then visited Semele and befriended her as this old woman. She then convinced Semele to ask Zeus to reveal his true self to prove that he was a god. However, this mistake proved fatal. When Semele asked Zeus to turn into a god and show his true power, Zeus was very reluctant, but he still did it anyway. However, since he was a god, he had to kill her once he was showing her, so he killed her with lightning. He then turned into himself and took the unborn baby, which Semele was pregnant with, and attached it to himself. One eternity later, Zeus gave birth in the island of Ithaca to Bacchus, and there's his modern symbol thing. Number 2, Mars. Mars was the god of the battlefield, and he was also the god of war and agriculture. His dominion was the battlefield. Mars's parents were Juno and Jupiter, the originals. Mars's siblings were Vulcan and Juventia, whoever that is, and they were his siblings. They were also siblings, and Vulcan was his brother. Mars's symbol was this. This is also the modern day symbol of the male gender, the alchemism symbol of iron, and the astronomical symbol of Mars. He had an appearance that was mostly reddish, and it was kind of bloody, and he had a shield and a helmet, and he looked like that. So it's kind of cool. Mars's personality was pretty much just angry, aggressive, and a survivalist. We did that. Now let's go on to the myth. One day, next to Mount Olympus, they sent Mars on a quest. However, he went missing. Eventually, the gods found out this was the doing of these guys. I don't know how to pronounce their name, but they're evil giants. For 13 months, Mars was imprisoned in an iron jar. Pretty sad, huh? I know, right? However, when the gods found out, they sent Hermes to rescue Mars from the copper jar, and he took him from these mean alloyed giants. A modern day reference for Mars is in Wonder Woman. When he's the main villain, that's his counterpart Ares, but they're pretty much the same. Number 3, Vulcan. Vulcan was the Roman god of blacksmithing. His dominion was the blacksmith place. As you can see, this is a villager blacksmith from Minecraft. His symbol was often an anvil with chains and a hammer. This is very similar to the communist symbol of a hammer and sickle. Vulcan's personality was pretty friendly and peaceful and loving. However, he was often jealous of other gods and bitter of the ones who treated him very badly. Vulcan's physical representation was pretty lame. He was lame, oddly. He had quote-unquote mighty shoulders, and he was bearded. His parents were Jupiter and Juno. His siblings were Bacchus and Elydacia. We will be looking at Bacchus's birth as a myth. Bacchus should have been good looking since he was the son of gods. However, he looked pretty ugly, and so his mother threw him off the side of Mount Olympus. For one day and one night, Bacchus fell. But finally, he landed into an ocean where a sea nymph called Thetis saved him. She was therefore his mother for then, and she treated him well. However, when Thetis was later invited to a party with, what's her name? Juno saw her necklace that Vulcan made for her. Juno wanted one, but she realized that it was made by Vulcan. She wanted her son back, but Vulcan sent her a chair. However, this chair was trapped, and she stayed there for 3 days. Jeez. Vulcan really pranked his mom. A modern reference would be some Star Trek. There are these species called Vulcans in Star Trek, and I believe they are similar because they have the same name, and they're also pretty ugly.
A specter is haunting Europe, the specter of communism. All the powers of old Europe have entered into a holy alliance to exorcise this specter. Pope and Tsar, Metternich and Guizot, French radicals, and German police spies. Where is the party in opposition that has not been decried as communistic by its opponents in power? Where is the opposition that has not hurled back the branding reproach of communism against the more advanced opposition parties as well as against its reactionary adversaries? Two things result from this fact. 1. Communism is already acknowledged by all European powers to be itself a power. 2. It is high time that communists should openly, in the face of the whole world, publish their views, their aims, their tendencies, and meet this nursery tale of the specter of communism with a manifesto of the party itself. To this end, communists of various nationalities have assembled in London and sketched the following manifesto to be published in the English, French, German, Italian, Flemish, and Danish languages. Part 1. Bourgeois and Proletarians. The history of all hitherto existing societies is the history of class struggles. Freeman and slave, patrician and plebeian, lord and serf, guildmaster and journeyman, in a word, oppressor and oppressed, stood in constant opposition to one another, carried on an uninterrupted, now hidden, now open fight, a fight that each time ended either in a revolutionary reconstruction of society at large or in the common ruin of the contending classes. In the earlier epochs of history, we find almost everywhere a complicated arrangement of society into various orders, a manifold gradation of social rank. In ancient Rome we have patricians, knights, plebeians, slaves. In the Middle Ages, feudal lords, vassals, guildmasters, journeymen, apprentices, serfs. In almost all these classes again, subordinate gradations. The modern bourgeois society that has sprouted from the ruins of feudal society has not done away with class antagonisms. It has but established new classes, new conditions of oppression, new forms of struggle in place of the old ones. Our epoch, the epoch of the bourgeoisie, possesses, however, this distinctive feature. It has simplified the class antagonisms. Society as a whole is more and more splitting up into two great hostile camps, into two great classes directly facing each other. Bourgeoisie